Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Happy Tuesday night, you guys. If you are joining us live, make sure you smash that like. If you want to support the channel during the show, Super Chat is a great way to do it. We will highlight your comment. It's really fun. Otherwise, you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Joleen Lunzer. And we have one and only Leen Team YouTube membership right here on YouTube if you want to join that. Yes, here we go. What's up, peeps? Jamie B, yes. Hit that like. Let's set a like goal. We already have 31 likes, you guys. So let's set a like goal for 133. 100 plus Jesus' age. Is that how old Jesus was? I think so. I don't remember. It's Taco Tuesday. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so we have a very special show today. You guys know that one Monday a month, I produce a show with my hilarious friend Valerie Tosi. If you follow my vlogs, the Joleen vlog channel, you guys, we're almost up to 1,000 subscribers. So thank you for supporting. You've probably seen her on this because I annoy her and bring my phone up on stage and record. And I have some vlogs to drop from our most recent shows at the Hollywood Improv. We produced the Mermaid Comedy Hour, which we've been doing for quite a long time. We'll talk all about that. But the most exciting news about my friend / co-producer / writing partner, Valerie Tosi, is that she has a debut comedy album called Beach Trash that is out now. I dropped the link to her website. So mods, if you could just keep sharing that link, that would be great. And you guys can get her album. We're going to hear all about that. We're going to have funny road stories, talk a little bit about pop culture, just a good time for you guys to sit back, relax, and have some laughs. And I know you guys are wondering about the CBB cast. I think it's going to drop tomorrow. I have this. Okay, so now we're at 38 likes. Okay, so we got a little bit to go. I'm not good at math. So Jonathan, my best friend, I don't know where. Tomorrow, we'll learn about CBB cast. However, I do have one spoiler. I think that Teddy Mellencamp, the former Real Housewife of Beverly Hills / John Cougar Mellencamp or Jod Mellencamp, the guy, you guys know him. He used to date Meg Ryan. I think that's what he's famous for. His daughter is probably going to be on the show. Something dropped where she showed her screen on a podcast I don't listen to that she has with Tamra Judge, formerly of the Real Housewives of Orange County. So I think that she's going to bore us in the Celebrity Big Brother house. But I could, maybe she'll be interesting. But she was not interesting on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Okay, you guys? Okay. So also, if you have any comments as we're going through or questions for my lovely guest, Valerie Tosi, feel free to put them in the chat. If you have any questions about comedy, things we're talking about, let's make this interactive and fun and get to know the fabulous Valerie Tosi. So without further ado, how many times can I say her name? My very good friend and hilarious woman, Valerie Tosi.
Hey, I love this.
What's up, friend?
I'm already like looking at all the comments. I'm just like, I don't understand how any of this works, and I'm loving the hell out of it.
So you guys might know Valerie Tosi from lots of things. Like you will know her from my vlogs, probably most famously, not at all. Yeah. Valerie, obviously we co-produced the Mermaid Comedy Hour together. We've been friends for many years. She's been on Conan. She was in Stand Against Evil. She played Agent Scully, which was probably the coolest thing in the world, right?
Yeah, it was pretty rad. It was basically knockoff Kirkland brand Scully. So I was more than happy to do it, and it was so fun.
Right? Because Valerie's not only a Buffy geek like me, she is a now I forgot what the show's called, but you're gonna kill me, Valerie.
Wait, what are you talking about? What's
Agent Scully from again?
Oh my God, Joleen!
I have so many celebrity. I have to keep track of all
Shutting
these
my
housewives.
laptop. It's I can't believe you can't remember a show that was big in the 90s that no one really cares about anymore. It's called The X-Files, Joleen.
Oh my God. So Valerie is the biggest X-Files fan, and we're both former redheads. We're now blonde. Valerie, newly blonde, even though she'd been blonde previously, then went red, all over. But when she has red hair, you look so much like Gillian Anderson.
It's
And
really fun. Like,
yes.
yeah. It's so fun. I caught it too because when I did that part, I already had red hair, but it was about the length that it is now. And then I got to set like in the wardrobe trailer, and they were like, they sent me the makeup, and they're like, "Oh, so we're gonna cut your hair." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And they were like, "Oh, did they not talk to you about that before?" And I was like, nope. And then they like started to panic because there's like a whole bunch of paperwork involved and stuff when that has to happen. And they were like, "Well, we can get a wig. We can da da da." And I literally was just like, anything for my art, chop it.
And Valerie, I almost want to pull up your Instagram because they chopped your hair so short. You had like a little shorter than you do now, and they gave you a super bob, a super scully
they
bob.
cut like a foot off my hair. Yeah. It was
right.
It was pretty wild. I was like when I watched them just go fook, like right across, I was like, ah, as I like watched it fall to the ground. I'm like, can we pick it up? Can we glue it back on? What do we do with this?
I know, but you looked so cute, and you rocked that hairstyle for a while, and then you obviously you grew it back out. I mean,
yeah, it's because it's funny. Like I always think I'm gonna look good with short hair because, like in theory, I love the idea of it, but it's actually I find it's more maintenance than long hair. Long hair you can just throw up in a ponytail or whatever, it's easy.
True.
But with short hair, it's like you actually have to like put time and effort into it. And I was like, I like to wash my hair once a week. I don't have time. I don't have time for this.
You do have to put more effort into short hair. You're right, because now I'm just throwing my hair up every second. I need to. My roots are so long. I need to get it done. So agreed. But I'm loving your new blonde.
Thank you. I'm loving it too. I'm having a lot of fun. It's been over a decade since I was blonde. I really missed it, and I just decided to spice things up a bit.
Oh, spicy. All right, Val. So let's talk about. So you and I mean, how long have we known each other? We've known each other for. Because we met at a comedy contest in Burbank
we
at
sure
Flappers. So you guys are going to hear a lot of behind the scenes craziness about being a woman in comedy, especially in LA, which is ultimately where this show idea came up with, that Valerie started producing herself and then included me in.
I was telling this story last night to like about the first festival even that we went to. I was
oh my God, tell that story, Val. Okay. Tell that story.
So Joleen and I, like she said, we met at Flappers, which is a comedy club in Burbank, and we just hit it off right away. Like we both kind of saw each other and we were like, we're gonna be friends. Like there's no way. So we became friends, and I was really, really new to stand up. Joleen had been doing it for a while, but I was very new. And I had been applying to festivals and stuff, and I got into my first festival in Sacramento. Joleen also got in, and we were like, oh my God, this is great. We get to go together. And then so all I saw was Valerie backstage with you. She had her period. Yep, that sounds about right. I'm glad that's.
Oh, that's Nicole. That's a Nicole Blaine story, Val. So they're talking about Nicole Blaine. When I did Laugh After Dark, Nicole Blaine got her period so bad. She was talking about it on I went live in the green room. Yeah. Of course. Because why wouldn't you go live in the green room? Why everyone was stressing about their set. I was like, I'm going to go live and put on more makeup. And Nicole Blaine came in and she was like, I busted through all the period stuff.
Oh,
and had to like shove toilet paper in her pants when she was doing her TV taping. So that's why they are talking about that's not Valerie. That was Nicole Blaine. We'll have her on and she'll tell you the story.
Don't worry, guys. I bleed through my pants all the time.
Yeah, we're very pro free bleeding on this channel. So sorry. So we're inside or
okay. So we both get into this festival. We're so excited that we get to go together. And then in the most weird and awful turn of events, both Joleen and I's grandfathers died the same week, which is insane. Joleen happened to be very close with her grandfather. I not so much. So we both had very different experiences with that. And so we kind of came together and we're like, all right, well, neither one of us wants to disappoint the other. So like, I'll go if you go and vice versa. So we decide to go to this festival. It's a 6.5 hour drive up to Sacramento from where we are. And we're exhausted. We had booked like a Red Roof Inn or something, just like so
Do you
dirt cheap
remember
and terrible.
on the way there, we stopped at Ralph's to cash in change?
We sure did.
We
I
did.
literally was like, Joleen, I'm so broke. I had to like, in fact, the jar in question happens to be right at my desk. And so,
Yes.
but yeah, this is the jar of change that I keep like a psycho. And I was like, I'm so broke. If I'm going to eat this weekend, I have to put my change in the Coinstar. So, so we did, we put in change. Oh God, I forgot about that. And so, so we get to this festival. We're exhausted, mentally, physically, all of it. We are walking into our first show, which we were nervous we were even going to make. We're walking in, and there's two dudes that run the fest or part of it or whatever, are like right inside the doorway. And as we're walking in, we catch them saying, I don't know, man. Should we just cancel it? I don't know. What do you think? And we're like, what the fuck are we walking into? And apparently nobody was at this show. Absolutely no one. Just the comedians that were on the show. And they were it was totally empty. Finally, they had like managed to bark outside the venue and pull in two random unsuspecting people and sit them in the audience. And the other comics on the show sat in the audience. And then the show starts. And I'm up first after the host. The host goes up and he's like sweating so bad. He's like in this massive puddle of sweat on the stage. And finally he goes, all right, well, here's your first comic. It's and he can't remember my name. Joleen is in the back of the auditorium and just yells, it's Valerie Tosi.
I was like, you can't even remember our names. We drove all the way here for this festival. We're featured in it. And you didn't even take time to learn it because he was too busy sweating. Maybe he was nervous. Who knows?
It was so insane. And that it was so bad. Like the whole festival was like such a nightmare because like it wasn't well run. Like the shows weren't really well attended. And then like there was a contest that we were both in and we both had really good sets. But the people picking the winners, do you remember they were like local radio DJs? And they were picking like all the like shitty local people that had been doing comedy for like no time at all. And like it was so bad.
Which, if you guys don't know, is pretty common in comedy festivals that the people that are judging you don't know shit about comedy. All they do is they've maybe once or twice had a microphone in front of their face and they've maybe wanted to do it. So they normally pick the people whose comedy they like because they don't know anything about comedy. So, or it's like their friend, but it's always, I did comedy contests in Minneapolis and Arizona, and there were always radio DJs. And I'm like, what the hell? They don't know anything about but I guess I don't know.
They're like, do they know how to talk like this? And then it's so dumb.
They're like, big boy in the morning, ding 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 ding. You know, like those morning shows, ding ding ding. They always have the bells and stuff, and they're like, she didn't ding ding enough for me, so she didn't advance. So the locals advanced, and me and Valerie went and ate.
Oh my God.
And that is a Boston Red Sox bee on Valerie's wrist.
It
She's
sure
a proud
is.
Bostonian.
Yep.
So you will hear more about Valerie being from Boston and all kinds of stuff. And she does do a bit about her tattoo. And is that one on the album? The bit about
no, it's in my Conan set, but it's not on the album now.
Okay, so if you guys go to Team Coco on YouTube, also Valerie's website, which we dropped in, you'll see a link to watch her Conan set. And you did Conan. My mom wants to say hi real quick. Hi, Valerie.
Oh my gosh, Eileen Lunzer. Oh, Eileen,
Nana's here.
It's your favorite comedian, Natalie.
So a couple people from YouTube were at the show where Nana had posted on Facebook and said, good luck to Joleen and Natalie at the Mermaid Comedy Hour tonight. And then I read it on stage and Nana's like, you didn't. I fixed it right away. I was like, too late. I already showed Valerie that you called her Natalie, even though we've all hung out. We know each other. We took
like, Nana to dinner at Tironi. We had a whole thing.
But we keep threatening Nana she might have to go to the home, you know? So Nana says, hi, Natalie. She says, hi, Natalie.
I mean, it's close enough for government work, as my dad would say.
Right. So tell us, okay, so you did your Conan set was actually when my mom and dad were in town that was like a couple years ago now.
Yeah, it was 2019. It was the before times.
I know so Valerie does. Okay, so if you guys don't know, like doing a late night spot definitely is a huge deal. Now, before there were 8 million comedians on the planet, that was like you did a late night spot. Here's your sitcom, Ellen DeGeneres. Here's your sitcom, Seinfeld. Now you might do one and who knows what's going to happen. Unfortunately, Valerie did her set right before the end of the world happened as she was like picking up heat. And then they're like, it's a pandemic. So usually you can take that and it's like comedy currency. You go on the road, you get some heat behind you. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal. Unfortunately, the freaking pandemic hit.
There's a thing on my album where I talk about it, where I'm literally like, I got to do Conan and I was like, oh my God, I might finally be able to quit my bar job. And then COVID happened and I was like, oh no, not like this. I should have been more specific. Like,
well, it was such an LA story. I mean, it's so true to LA. You work so hard. You get that thing you've been waiting for. Everybody wants on Team Coco. Everyone wants to do stand-up. Valerie gets it. And it's right around the holidays. And then we're going into this next year. It's about to start this big, and then we're shutting down.
Yeah, it was like because I was already doing it right before Christmas. So I knew that there would be like a lull because of the holidays, but I was like, oh, I'm going to take this and run with it like right when we come back. And just as we're coming back, you hear like, did you hear about this new crazy disease that's going to blah, 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 blah. And I was like, we're going to be fine, right, guys? We're going to be fine. As I'm walking around with hand sanitizer strapped to my belt, just like trying to like figure it out. And then we, spoiler alert, they were not fine.
We're still not fine. Spoiler alert, spoiler. But
Mike Vargas! Sorry, I got really
oh, is Mike Vargas here? Yay, Natalie Tosi is joining us. How exciting for now. I want to pull up, so I'm just going to pull up Val's, aka Natalie's website.
God
here.
damn it.
And we can take a look as you just tell us about, because I think a lot of people, we see comics on Conan, but if you're not like a comedian, you don't really know about the Conan experience. Like I've been to do tapings before. I was there when Jackie Cation taped hers. I couldn't be there when you taped yours, which was such a bummer because it looked so freaking fun and so many cool people.
I was so sad that you couldn't be there because I was like, Joleen, like, can you come? And you were like, oh, don't mind me, the fucking pop up for Weebly because I'm too cheap to pay for the site.
I know, I was like, what's that?
Well, I also was trying. I was paying for it for a while, and then my change jar ran out. No, I'm just kidding. So I was for a while, and then I don't know why. I think I must have like changed cards or something. I don't know, but then I haven't figured out how to fix it. So
that's okay. We get a little ad.
So fine.
You did meet Ice Cube and Kevin Hart and Valerie did do. Was this Lift? Is that when they used the mustaches?
Yeah, that was for a thing for when they were doing. It was when Ride Along 2 was out. It was like a promo. It was like a thing for Lift for like New Year's Eve. And it was this promo for it. It was so crazy because they only had like an hour to shoot with them. So they had to shoot all of my like close-ups and stuff before they even got there. So I had to do all these like reactions and shit to just no one in the car.
Now, when Ice Cube and Kevin Hart get in the car, I mean, if Ice Cube got in the car, I'd probably pee my pants. I'd be so excited.
Oh, it was so fun. He kept saying something about his balls, and I was laughing so hard that I was like, I can't. This is Jesus Christ.
Oh. So that was fun. Oh, you got your new blonde headshots up.
Yeah, that's
so
me.
Beautiful.
Hey, that's what I look like when I actually put in some effort.
Oh my gosh, you always look so cute. So I'm looking
Thanks.
for. Do you have pictures with the Conan stuff? Did you?
If you go to home, you'll see the actual.
Sorry.
The video will be there if you scroll down.
So here's Valerie's Beach Trash album.
Yeah, that's
okay.
me.
So yeah,
kind of weird, but it's there. Yeah, it's like a weird still, but that's me. Yep.
Yeah, no, I don't want to just keep it on there if you're like, that's too weird. But
I was like, no, that's great.
I think you look so cute. Okay, so walk us through just like a Conan experience. So you get there, you probably have to poop. I would have to poop every time I have a big thing. I have to poop.
Oh God,
is that you too?
We all get anxiety shits. Like it's like it's so awful. Like we all get that where we're just like you get so nervous and your body is immediately like fight or flight, and we choose to fly to the bathroom. But exactly. it was a wild experience because, like, first of all, I can't say enough good things about the people at Conan because they truly, truly loved their job. They cared about everybody. They really wanted to make it like a memorable, positive experience for you. And like, they would hit me up and because also a little behind the scenes, I was with a manager, like a big time manager, who was facilitating this in the beginning. And then she ended up leaving the company like a month or two before I taped. So when it got close to it, I was actually like kind of figuring everything out myself. And so, you know, they're emailing me all the stuff that normally goes through your manager. Like, we're gonna send you a car to pick you up and bring you to Warner Brothers. And I was like, oh, I'm local, like I can drive. And they were like, no. They're like, that's like
part of the perks.
That's like the blue collar working class mentality where they're like, no, I don't need to be fancy. I'm fine. I can take my own car. It's fine.
The boss, your dad came on and was like, nah, I got my car. Or your mom. I could hear your mom saying that.
Oh God, right. But so yeah, so they, you know, I was like, is this like for just me or like if my friends are coming? They're like, oh yeah, it'll be like a big car. Like you can have everybody come with you. And we were like, oh my God. So they picked us all up, brought us to Warner Brothers. And, you know, they told me to, I think I had the most behind the scenes guests that like they've ever allowed anybody. I seriously rolled with like 11 people or something stupid. And they were just like, what is it? Who are all these people? But it was so fun. Like a lot of my really close friends came and it was really amazing. And the cool part too, which was a surprise, was I knew the episode it was going to be me and Rory Scovel because Rory was plugging his he was going on tour. He's so funny. And so he was there to plug a tour, but then as a surprise, I found out that Adam Sandler was also there because he was pre-taping a segment for when he was plugging Uncut Gems. So I'm in the green room trying to like not have a cow, and all of a sudden Adam Sandler comes up to me and is like, so I hear you're from Massachusetts, because he's from New Hampshire. And I was like, yeah,
I never knew that.
He's an East Coast guy. And so I went, yeah, and showed him my tattoo. And he literally went, oh, Jesus Christ.
You're like Ben Affleck, Boston.
Yeah. It was he was such a sweetheart. And like, I love that man so much because he's never changed. Like, I don't know if you guys saw that like photo floating around of him like eating a jar of pickles like while walking down the street. That is totally him. Like he showed up to this thing. Most people get like a team together to go on to late night to do an interview and stuff. He showed up in a stained hoodie. Like you could see the stain from your screen. And it was so funny. He just like did not care. You know, he's such a rad dude. He really is.
That's so cool. So then you're in the dressing room and you're getting ready and you had the cutest outfit. So you bought jeans that were very expensive. I remember you being like, these jeans, I might have to return them.
my TV pants, as my parents called it. They, well, cause here's a tip. If you guys ever are like, oh no, I need an outfit for something, hot tip. What is it called? Nordstrom has stylists there. So what I did is I rolled up to a Nordstrom in a full-blown panic and was like, hi, I have to be on TV tomorrow. Help. And then they literally just like pulled stuff for me and I was like, what's the return policy?
Did you say that to them?
Of course like, I did. Great. If you think that I wasn't about to wear $200 jeans on TV and then return them the next day, I for sure was. I was like, I'm not paying for these. I don't know if you remember the change jar, but I was
true. We're not too far off from the change jar situation, so that's a good point.
But so it was so funny because like people really did come together. Like the community in comedy is truly like it can be rough sometimes, but like most people really do want to see you succeed and help. And so I was running. So I didn't know what I was wearing yet. Finally, I got my outfit at Nordstrom, but I needed a jacket. And like the shirt I was wearing was actually a bodysuit that I loved that I found there. And it was cheap. It was only like $20. So I was like, I'm for sure keeping this. But I was like, I need a jacket. And I was at the Comedy Store like the night before and panicking. And I was talking to my friend Stasia, who now is like blowing up because she's doing her like school of thought and is like a fitness guru. And she was on like Joe Rogan's podcast and all this shit. She wasn't on it. She wasn't on it, but she got shouted out on it. What were you gonna say?
Is she the one that's doing like the because Amber was telling me she's been going to some online fitness thing.
Probably at school. Okay. Yeah, at School of Thought. And it's like she's rad. She's such a sweetheart. She's also East Coast. She's from Boston too. Okay. And
so many of you. So many.
I know. We're cockroaches.
I love them. I always get along with Boston people. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's
because we're loud.
Yeah. And I'm loud for a Midwestern.
Yep. But she was so funny because I'm at the Comedy Store and she's like, what are you wearing? And I was like, well, this, but I don't have a jacket yet. And she had on this like dope Victoria Beckham, like $1,000 jacket. And she goes, oh, take mine. And literally just takes off her coat and hands it to me. And I was like, are you serious? And she goes, just take it for the taping. She's like, I'll be so excited to let my jacket have its late night debut. And I was like, all right, great. And so I literally wore her jacket. That's the jacket that I'm wearing on there. And I was, it was just so cool how like it all came together.
That's so cool. I mean, like that is like, I feel like that's the generosity inside, like, especially women in stand up in LA. Mm-hmm. You have to put up with so much. So you're like, I'm going to help you. You're going to wear this freaking jacket. That's amazing. Yeah. So do you run your stuff first? You go out there and they do like a little run, like a dress rehearsal?
No. They'll do before the audience comes in, they'll have you come out holding up the outfit you're going to wear so they can light you properly. And they'll show you like where your mark is, where the guy with the cue cards will be in case you forget your set, where all the cameras are, like where to enter from, where to exit from, kind of all that stuff. But you don't do a run through. You're just like, you're in it. And when you're standing backstage and you're like waiting for them to say your name, it is the craziest feeling. And it's so nerve-wracking. I wanted to.
I'm like, I know this already happened, but my palms are sweating, Val. Like, honestly, every taping I've been to, I'm just like, and I probably would have been so nervous. So
I was so nervous. And it was weird too, because like you run the set so many times that you get so sick of it and you become numb to it, which is kind of what happens when you do an album too, because you're just so over it at that point. And like, it really is, it's like an out of body experience. Like you kind of feel like you're watching yourself doing it. It's really weird. And I was so nervous, and like I couldn't eat anything all day because I knew I would just be like a mess. And I was like, I'm not eating. But like after I got off stage, I ate my weight in cheese. Like,
did you just have this like, okay, so you have that high. The comedy gives you this high that is kind of inexplainable unless you've been high, I guess, really high, or it's something that I never experienced in my alcoholism, but it's just this natural high. And just being on knowing that, you wanted to be on Conan for so long, this was becoming a truth for you. You did it, you killed it. And then you leave. And then were you just like on top of the world so
here's the really cool part. So, I mean, at least I thought it was really cool and very like gratifying. So at the time, I was working at a bar, and I was working there. I had been there for 7 years, and a lot of like my regulars and stuff knew that like, I mean, pretty much everybody knew I was a comic, which is always kind of a nightmare because then it was like, tell me something funny. And you're like, I want to cut you off. But, so I was like, is that funny? Cause it's funny to me. But so, and it's so tough because whenever you're in a creative field, whether you're a comedian or a musician or whatever, people are always, they measure your success by like notoriety and not about like whether or not your stuff is good. And so everyone's always like, well, what do I know you from? What have you done this? Blah, blah, blah. So I had planned it that because when we were shooting, when I taped, it was like during the afternoon, and then it was airing that night. So I literally went from Warner Brothers, dropped people off, drove straight to the bar that I worked at. And then we had like a viewing party and had it on all the screens. So like all the people that I had to like deal with, that always are like, sure, you're a comedian or whatever. I was like, what do you think now, bitch? And so we get to watch it like at my place of work, and it was so fun to like really be able to just like show everybody like I did it, you know? It was really neat.
Yeah, such a cool. Now you did get obviously Conan came back because you had posted pictures and you met him and you talked to him and Tammy's like, is Conan as silly and quirky as he seems?
He is the nicest. Like he literally came backstage after the taping and talked to me and my friends for 45 minutes, which is like not like what? You know, like he didn't have to do that. He's just the best. Like he was telling us all these like really funny stories and like cuz he's from Massachusetts too. So
So
we are
many.
I know where we infiltrate like but yeah, it was really neat. He's such a good dude. He really is.
Well, Jamie B says you possible new merch idea, Val. What do you think now, bitch? Like that can be your new merch. I'm telling you that you will see. We have in the chat the Lean Team. They come up with some good merch ideas, and yeah, Conan is like a bit machine. He's very funny.
He really
very
is.
naturally. Cool. Okay, so you get done doing Conan. The world kind of stops.
The
not
world
kind
falls
of.
apart. Yeah.
The world
Yeah.
falls apart. And what is that like, Val? I mean, as your friend, I mean, I know, but I mean, it's so hard because if, like I said, if you don't know the process, normally that again is comedy currency. So the more late night credits you get, the more TV credits you get, the better venues you can perform, the more money you can ask for. It just really opens up so much. And especially right after you do a taping.
Yeah.
And for you, it's like everything's shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. It really did. It was like, it was almost, it's like funny if you think about it, because you're just like, on what planet, like with that, like you get to do the biggest career move of your life. And then there's a fucking pandemic. Like,
I
what?
know.
That's so insane. And it's also like, you know, people had it so like, I granted, yes, I was depressed. Yes, it was awful. And like lost my job, lost whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, I have my health. I got to stay in the city that I love. Like I'm very fortunate and like, and all that. So I'm very grateful for all that stuff. But it was like, it was really scary because for the first time in my life, I was unemployed. Like I've had a job since I was 14. You know, it was the first time that I was ever unemployed. And I lost both my bar job and all the road work that I had booked. And so now I was like, what do I do? And I was so depressed for a while because I just, you know, we all thought it was going to be a couple weeks, maybe a month or two. And then it just kept going and going. And so I kind of tried to figure out like, what can I do while I'm stuck in this that is for the betterment of at least other people? And so, you know, I know like obviously there was all the protesting and marching and stuff. And so like I would have done that anyway. But I also I volunteered for the election and I ended up working the election for a week. I worked indoors before there was a vaccine. And I was like, I made peace with it. I was like, you're probably going to get COVID and this is probably where it's going to happen. Because if you're working the election in Hollywood, just to give you a little glimpse, there was people cosplaying as Harley Quinn and the Joker having a knockdown tear down fight in the middle of the voting center. So like pretty insane where it was, but I you know, I did that and then I ended up working at a vax site and worked there for 6 months just taking like, you know, doing all the like
Look at you doing like your civic duties and helping out and not being like, you know, you could have easily sat there and been like, F this is bullshit. But you went out there and you did something to better the world. And then you started, you know, you were able to start touring, obviously under different circumstances with different protocols and stuff like that. But you went to a lot of places since then and you continue. You're going to go to, aren't you going to be in Houston? Like this?
Yeah, I leave. So tomorrow night I'm going to be, I'm actually just booked. I'm featuring for Liz Mealy and at Irvine Improv. And then this weekend I'll be at the Velveeta Room in Austin. If anybody's in Texas, I'll be there Friday, Saturday night headlining. And then Sunday night I'll be at a show called The Riot. It's at Rudyard's in Houston. I will be there for one night. And yeah, so I have that coming up. I'm going back to Boston. So I have some shows in Boston and in New Hampshire. And then after, where am I going? I'm trying to go to New York, but a lot of stuff is shut down because of that, because of everything. So
I saw a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
shows. They stopped.
Mhm. Yeah,
New
I hit
York.
some up. I hit some up and I'm like, so I don't think I could do that. But I'm going back to Alaska in
Oh,
April. I can't wait. I love it. It's so fun.
I have never been to Alaska, but your story about visiting Alaska. So last time you were in Alaska, you performed in did you stay in a haunted hotel? Is that the haunted
I
hotel one?
sure did. I sure did. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
What
somebody said
happened?
Seattle. Okay, so I when I go to Alaska in where am I? It's April. When I go to Alaska in April, I'm trying to actually tack on a Seattle date on either end, either before or after. So keep an eye on my website because I'm pretty good about updating it like what as soon as I know the dates because I don't want to forget them. So check for that because there's a venue there called the Crocodiles. That's what I'm trying to get in. So there's that.
Mhm.
And then East Coast, yeah, I'm going to be at the White Bull Tavern. It's called Hideout. That's where I'm going to be in Boston the end of February. And then I'm doing the Ruby Room, which is at the Shaskeed in Manchester, New Hampshire, too.
Fun.
Okay.
Okay, Jonathan lives
Well,
in Dallas, so get to Austin. I don't know how far that is, or Houston. I've been
that's
to.
Austin or Houston. I don't know. I think it's a couple hours. I'm not sure. I've never been to Dallas. I
I
think I
like
might have slept
Dallas.
on their airport's floor, but at some point for
I
getting
actually
stranded. But
like Dallas as far as Texas goes. Yeah, I've been to Dallas a few times. I enjoyed it.
yeah.
There's other parts of Texas I didn't enjoy so much, but God bless, God bless. Uh, Now, Val, speaking of
He said, "Make a
Boston,
stop in Dallas. I don't have a
I
change
don't have a
jar."
change jar. Oh, Jonathan. Oh my gosh. Yes. And you can catch Valerie's. You can just look right here. Atharella was nice enough. Thank you for dropping Val's website here. Now, I want to share. So, as far as, being a Bostonian goes, you were just featured in the Boston Globe, and I have it here.
Yeah.
Now, you have to tell me what your parents said about this because the Boston Globe's huge. I was in the Pioneer Press and the Star Tribune in Minneapolis, and my parents lost their mind. So I can't imagine if I was in the Boston Globe because that's even fancier.
It was very cool because again, like you said, when you're like, why is everyone from the East Coast like do you all know each other? Like this is how crazy this was. So when I ended up talking to the journalist that interviewed me for this, James Sullivan, which he's not James, he goes by Jimmy. Come on.
Yeah.
It's
Jimmy
Boston. Oh,
Sullivan.
Jimmy Sullivan kid. So when we talked, come to find out, because when I have that bit about having to work with my mom at the same restaurant, he's like, which
Mhm.
restaurant was it? And I was like, oh, it was the Hungry Traveler in Salisbury. And he was like, are you kidding me? My son used to work there. So like me and the journalist's son used to work together. Like I don't think we
Small
were.
world.
Yeah, so I don't think we were there at the same time, but the fact that it was the same
Mhm.
place is like so insane. Um, so it was really cool. Like the journalist was so nice and like did such a great job with this article because it's like a really fun read. It's sometimes when people interview you, it's so dry and like there's the
I
worst is
love
when
this
you
picture.
thank you, I do too.
I love it so much.
It's so great. And that is me. Like, so I've had so many people be like, "Are you different than your persona on stage?" And I'm like,
No.
"No."
No,
Like,
you are your persona on stage, and you and I have toured together, and this is what we do. We eat, and then we eat more, and then we have dance parties at night, and then we
yep.
eat.
Oh
That's pretty
God,
much what we do.
we jump on beds and
Yep.
do you remember when we did that thing? It's on somebody, one of us has it either on a computer or on a phone, but we did like a funny, stupid fake commercial where we called it Redheads in Flannel.
Yeah, and we were like, "Call us now," and we were, like, pretending to be those, like, phone sex operators that you would hear back in the day, like, what was
Mhm.
that called? There was, like, a certain thing that always played late at night, and then we're like, "Call us now, redheads and flannels," and we both had
It
glasses.
was so stupid. It was so fun.
We were so
um
silly. Okay, so you're here. Okay, so this is at Salisbury Beach. Now,
yes.
I don't know where that is because I've been to Boston. I've never been to Boston with you though.
Oh man, get ready if
That's
it ever
weird.
happens. Yeah. You should come with me at some point because I always stay like now that my parents are in because my parents, spoiler alert, they sold our childhood home during the pandemic and moved to Florida because they're following Tom Brady. And so 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 now my best friend Darielle, who took this photo, she's an amazing photographer and makeup artist. We've been friends since we were 14. She lives in the neighboring town over. And so I stayed with her and we had a blast because basically when I partnered up with the label, I knew I was going to work with them, but we hadn't discussed any type of album art. And so during the tour, when I had my stop back home, I was like, hey, like, this is an idea I'm thinking for the album title. Like, can we just shoot some photos down Salisbury Beach? So I have them. And then like when the time comes, I'll pitch them to the label and see if they like it. And so like months went by after so I'd been sitting on these photos for like a couple months and you could tell because my hair is a different color.
Yes.
And so when the label was like, what are you thinking for the album? I like was like, well, I have these photos. And then they lost their minds. They were like, are you kidding? These are amazing. Like blah, blah, blah. And it was just so nice to like that they loved them as much as I did. And like, it was really neat. So we went around Salisbury Beach and took a bunch of photos. I got yelled at several times and but worth it. And worth it. Salisbury, by the way, if you don't know, is the most northern part of the state. So if you're looking at Massachusetts, like everybody knows the little like curly Q tail thing where the Cape is. But if you're looking at the state, the like utmost top, there's like a little tip right on the coast. And that is Salisbury. And the next town over is in New Hampshire. So we're right on the border of New Hampshire.
Now I know I'll always remember that Valerie's from Lynn and it's on her album too. And I don't know the song by heart, but I remember when she started saying it on stage, Lynn, the city of sin, you never get out the way you come in. Is that what it is?
Never come out the way you came in. Yeah.
Okay. Now is Lynn close to Salisbury?
It's not super far. Lynn is it's also considered the North Shore, which Salisbury is too. It's just outside of Boston. So it's like it's not in Boston proper, but it's basically like the next town outside of Boston. So it's I'd say probably about 35 minutes from Salisbury, 40 minutes from Salisbury.
Okay, I feel like Atharella being from that area, she's like, yes, every comment like this, everything you're saying about this. So why does Lynn have such a bad reputation or such a naughty reputation where you never come out the way you came in?
I would love to tell you. So Lynn, the city was founded and established in the 1600s. And this phrase is from back then. It has been around for a long time. And I know I'm going to butcher this. So I was trying to find it, but I'm too lazy to Google. So essentially it was a town where it was like I'm trying to remember. It was like was it a steel town? Like they did a lot of steel or ironworks or something like that. I forget. But they were always a place that was just like, it was just unsafe. And they had a lot of people that were like a lot of big drinkers and gamblers and like all this stuff there. And so it was just known as like a rough area for a long time. And so in fact, it doesn't matter where I am in the country. If I say I'm originally from Lynn, I'll always hear somebody yell out "City of Sin" from like, and I mean, this happened in Alaska. Like, it doesn't matter where I am, somebody knows. And so it's Lynn, City of Sin. You never come out the way you came in. But then the next part of because there's more stanzas to the rhyme. The next part of the rhyme is you ask for water, but they give you gin. The girls say no, but they always give in.
Oh no.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
That's 1600s humor.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
You're like, was it written in the 1600s or the 80s? We don't know.
Or 20 or whenever the Me Too movement started. Maybe around then too. I think that is so interesting because there's been times where I've met people at shows or in towns that are from Boston. And I say, oh, my friend Valerie. Like I always go, oh, she's from Lynn. And people do have like a visceral reaction to that. Like, Lynn?
Yeah. They all go,
she stabbed you? Yeah. And I'm like, she's never stabbed me once. So it's pretty amazing. She never tried. I am more stabby than Val. So there you go. Except for when we're driving. I feel like you're a little more stabby, probably.
Yo, yeah, I do get a lot of road rage. That the New
Mhm.
England in me comes out hard when I'm driving.
I love when the New England Boston comes out in you because you've been, because you do so much. If you guys don't know, Valerie was like the voice of like a Google Mini whole ad campaign, and she's done so much voiceover work and done so many commercials and voiceover stuff that you're able to kind of come in and out of your accent.
Yeah.
But sometimes it comes out heavy, and
Nothing I can do.
and Jeff together, both being from Boston, and you get in a Boston conversation, because I remember the first time I went to Boston was for the Women in Comedy Festival, like 2012, and I had never been. I was so excited, and I had my first show was at a bar. You know how those, sometimes you're at a bar, sometimes you're at a theater, depends on the night. And there was like one side, it looked literally like where they were in Good Will Hunting, where Matt Damon lived or whatever. It looked like that. Okay. I have no idea where I was. I hopped on a train. I don't know how I got there. I think someone else was with me and was like, you have toured with me. It's like, Joleen, come this way. That's my direction. That's my sense of direction. Otherwise I'll get lost. So I'm there. One side of the bar, we're performing. The other side of the bar is a bar. I go to the other side of the bar to get something to drink. And these guys are screaming at each other, like screaming. And I'm talking to the person producing the show, and I was like, God, there's like dudes fighting over there already. And they look over and they go, they're not fighting, they're just talking. And I was like, okay, that's Boston talk.
People would come over to my house because we're not only am I Boston, but I'm Italian too. So like, and I'm Italian on both sides. So like literally people would come over to my house and they're like, everyone's yelling, but no one's mad. Like, I'm like, yeah.
That, coming from the land of passive aggressive, that's strange for me. I kind of enjoyed though that people were able to have a volume without being like, excuse me, are you okay? It's like, no, I'm okay, I'm just excited about stuff and I'm gonna yell about it. All right.
Yep. People
Miss
always
M,
tell me
thank you.
Oh, you're so cute.
She comes to our shows. Miss M comes to our show. She's a sweetie.
Love you, Miss M.
Sweetie.
Yeah, so many people have been like, oh, I can pick your voice out in a crowd. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, so many people will be like, I knew you were here. I was like, God damn it.
So I know you have to have a good story about, so this is part of, obviously this is Valerie's album, Beach Trash, that just came out, and you were number 1 on iTunes for a while. Are you still?
It changes. I was like number 1, then I like dipped, then I went to number 3, then I dipped. I don't know where I am now. I have to look. It changed. I think it's all dependent on sales.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really, but it's wild to see like my name next to like Weird Al, George Carlin, like like it's like so weird.
I was like, Val is ahead of George Carlin.
It's been very funny. Like, and of course too, like, my parents are so ridiculous. Like my dad saw that Jeff had tweeted or a Facebook post or something, was like, yeah, suck it, George Carlin, or something like that. And my dad, because like, anybody that's my dad's age is like, George Carlin is like gospel,
Yeah.
So my dad was like, well, what did he mean by that? And I was like, Dad, it's like, relax. Nobody's going after your Lord and Savior, George Carlin.
Now, what did your parents, who a lot of Val's act is centered around her family and her parents, and they're hilarious. And I've had the privilege of meeting her mom quite a few times, and it's exactly like how you describe her is how she is. And she's so authentically herself. And I don't even think she realizes how funny she is.
She's
but
so
now
unintentionally funny. Like that.
Totally. She just is who she is. And now when they know that their daughter's in the Boston Globe, like, what's mom and dad saying? They got to be thrilled.
Oh, they're wicked proud.
I knew they were going to be wicked proud.
But it's like, it's so funny because I was saying this the other day. I was like, my parents managed to find a way to illegally watch and or stream every Boston sporting event since they moved to Florida, but they could not figure out how to listen to my album. I was like, they're like, my dad goes, wait, you want me to buy it? Haven't I given you enough money? I was like, Jesus,
Dad, it helps. Just buy it. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I was like, well, Dad, you wouldn't pay for college, so you think you could shell out the $9.99?
And you have it forever too, just so you know. Oh my gosh. Now, do you know if they got copies of the paper? I can see your mom getting, they're sending them to me or something.
Oh yeah, I want one. Will you grab some for me? I'm like, oh my God. So It's been so funny. My dad too was like, they're like on the they're like on the ground plugging for me. Like my dad will be like, so I told my he's like he's like, I told my doctor today about you and she pulled you up on Instagram. She said you're wicked funny. I was like, thanks, Dad. Like, I can only imagine him just sitting there in like a paper gown, being like, "That's my daughter."
They're like, all right, sir, we're going to check your balls now. And he's like, can you cough? That's my daughter. That's like Nana. She's always promoting the podcast. She goes and brings donuts to the dentist office and talks about the podcast. That's so her. And then my dad, we were at the cabin this summer and we got ripped off by this guy that rented us a boat. And he was like, sorry, we didn't have the nice boat. You can have the shitty boat that, kills every, half a mile as you drive it. And then, but he's like, I'll bring you free gas. So him and my dad were drinking beers. He's bringing free gas. He's like, hey, my daughter's going to be on, what's that thing, Joe? It's a thing, she's on, there's a tube. And I was like, YouTube? Yeah, YouTube. And then
tube.
And then something with, not Netflix, Dad. You're about to be very disappointed. Amazon. And then his friend goes, or his new friend, his boat buddy's just like, awesome. Can I get another Mick Golden Light? And that is the extent. But I understand that on the ground parenting, like that, there are foot soldiers. Really,
it's so, and they get so proud. Where it's so fun. Like my favorite is, and like people in the Boston comedy community know my parents because before they moved, my mom worked at a liquor store. Okay, if you can imagine.
I can imagine. Like she's awesome.
So she's working at a liquor store, right? And before when I did like a trip home and I sent like press releases and stuff to the local papers, and this was a couple years ago. I got like a big write up in the local paper it was the Newburyport Daily News. And my mom, like when she knew I was coming home to do this show, she had like literally like the newspaper on like next to her at the register. So every time somebody would come to pay, my mom would be like, and if you're not busy Wednesday night, my daughter's performing at the Newburyport Brewing Company. And I was like, oh my God. And then literally it's just like out of control. And then like another guy that I knew was in the area flyering for like a show that he was doing. So he came in to like leave a flyer. And my mom was like, well, you're going to go to my daughter's show? You can only leave it if you go to my daughter's show. I'm like, oh my God. She's like, she's out of control. Like she's out of control.
But the best place I think to be on the ground doing marketing is at a liquor store because they're already going to get a little liquored up. Head to a comedy show. The best thing you can do is get a little bit, not too much of a buzz because then you become a buzzkill and a heckler, but just get a little bit of a buzz, grab an Uber, head over to the comedy show. So yeah, Jamie B says this just keeps getting better and better. The liquor store stories. Yes, not a liquor store. Yes, a liquor store. Now,
oh my God.
Your mom's no longer there because they went to Florida to follow Tom Brady. Or were they really upset about the game this past Sunday?
Well, it's funny because my parents still like, they weren't super upset because they were like, it was a wicked good game. They played hard. Brady's going to be 45. We think he's about to retire. So you know what? It's just, he's old. They're like, okay.
It's amazing he's even standing.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. And that's the thing is like, they'll start to make excuses, right? Where they're like, well, he's old and he apparently like Giselle freaks out every time he gets hit on the field. So his mind probably just isn't in the game. Like, oh.
I love that they're blaming Giselle. Giselle, she's probably a vegan and she gets upset. That CTE so is kind of serious.
Oh my God.
Every time he gets it.
My favorite thing though, since my parents have moved down there. So my parents moved down, right? In January 2021. Right in the middle of COVID. So they're like, where can we go that's worse? Florida? Great. So they move to, by the way, no plan. Okay. Like I was like, everyone was like, well, where are they living? I'm like, wherever they can right now, because I was like, you guys are going to move down there. You're going to sell your home and you're not going to have another home to move into. They're like, oh, we're just going to figure it out. We're just going to go over. I was like, you're not in your 20s finding yourself, you weirdos. I was like, you're in your 60s. What are you doing? So they like hopped around and stayed at like Airbnbs. They were crashing in like a friend's trailer for a while, like all this crazy shit. And so they get down there January. My brother this is a long story why I won't get into, but long story short, my brother worked at the same liquor store as my mom, and then my mom accidentally got him fired. So
what?
My
How'd you
brother
get fired?
It's a long story. And so my brother loses his job and is panicking. So he doesn't know what to do with himself. I was like, why don't you come? I have to move. I had to move because they sold my building. So I had to move into the place I'm in now. I'm like, why don't you fly out? I'll fly you out. Help me move and like deal with all this shit. And then hang for a little bit. And then, you know, we'll send you back. So he came out and he ended up staying with me for 2 months.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, I basically had a child for 2 months because he didn't have a job. So I was like taking care of everything.
And he's a lot younger than you too.
Yeah,
Like
he's 10 years younger than me. So,
Oh
but
my
he's the best. But it was like so awesome to have him here for that long because, like, you know, we're so far apart in age that we missed a lot of each other's lives growing up because I was already gone. Like, I moved to LA when I was 23, so he was only 13, you know? So so it was like really cool for us to be able to bond and like just have that time together. And he was so helpful. Like, I honestly don't know what I would have done without him here helping me because there was so much shit. And it's not like you can ask your friends to move in the middle of a pandemic.
Yes.
So he was great. But anyway, so I told him he couldn't leave until I got him vaccinated because I was like, because he was going to go down to Florida to see my parents. I'm like, you're not doing that till you're vaccinated. So I said, so he goes down there, decides he loves it. And he's like, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay here. So my brother goes, he looks around, finds an apartment. This is my favorite. He finds an apartment in Sarasota. Okay. My parents come to help him move in. And my dad and my mom are looking around at this apartment building and they're like, yeah, this will do. And then move into the same apartment building. My family is so codependent. It is out of control. So now
oh my gosh,
they're living like not in the same unit, obviously, but the same building where they can like literally look outside. In fact, my brother has been he's finally been like hooking up with girls and like is super stoked. So like he'll have somebody sleep. Like he's going to try to have somebody sleep over. And my dad, my mom want to know if they're, so this is how crazy my parents are. God forbid they text him or like even just like walk over to see. No, you know what they do? My dad flew his drone over to see if my brother and somebody's staying over.
Oh my, I hope he shuts the curtains at all times and never has the window open without a screen. The drone's going inside.
Just like clawing like bzz, bzz.
Creepy. Such a dad thing to do though. I love I love that, but
control.
That is a little too close for comfort, Val.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I truly like I'm really worried because if it's full disclosure, my mom has to have surgery tomorrow. So if you guys want to keep Mel Tosi, we call her Mel Nino because she's the storm of emotions. If you want to keep Mel Nino in your thoughts because she has to have surgery tomorrow, I'm a little nervy baby about it. But yeah, so
prayers up to Mel Nino.
Yep. So she's got she had basically, long story short, she was in a car accident like a while ago and she had like some stuff like that fucked up her back that she got fixed, but now there's like something with a disc in her neck. And so she's like lost feeling in her hands where she can't and it's like gotten worse. Like it's like kind of climbed up her like arms and now it's affecting her ability to walk where like she can walk, but she's like, it's almost like her equilibrium is off. So she's like a really stumbly. And it's just all has to do with whatever is getting like pinched or like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
it's all connected somehow. I'll ask Chell. He knows about this stuff now. I don't know.
and of course, like just, you know, my parents' thought process with all of this, where my mom is like, oh, well, I got to get my hair done before I go because, you know, they're going to go in through my neck. So I don't know what I'm going to be able to put. I'm like, you're going to get your hair done before you go in for surgery, Mom. I was like, nobody gives a fuck about what your hair looks like. She's like, well, you're coming out to visit me in a couple weeks. And I was like, Mom, I don't care if your hair is done.
I love you no matter what. I just want you to be okay in the surgery.
Oh my God. And the thing is too, is like, I was reminded because I was going through, you know, when you do an album, you kind of burn your material. Like you can still do it, but like you want to try to like start to build and work a new like hour or whatever. So I've been going through like old notebooks to kind of see like things I started, abandoned, what anything that is there that I can use. And I forgot that when my mom had the initial surgery after her car accident, my dad is not great in a crisis because I called up my dad to be like, well, how's mom's surgery? Like, how did it go? And he's like, I don't know. I haven't heard from him yet. I was like, okay. I was like, well, what hospital are you at? He goes, oh, I'm not there. I left. I was like, what do you mean you left? And he goes, oh, I went home. He's like, I'm not just going to hang around. I was like, Jesus Christ, Dad. And I was like, what hospital is she at? He goes, I don't know. It's near Fenway.
Oh my God. There's some kind of disconnect, I think, with a lot of like I feel like boomer men overall, like the dads, I feel like the women maybe handled this because my dad was the same way. My mom had to, quite a few years ago, she had to get a biopsy, and they were worried about breast cancer. Everything came out fine. Obviously, you guys see Nana now. But my dad, I was there for that. And then I had to go back. And then he was supposed to be giving us updates on how things were going. And we would have him on speakerphone. And me and Charlie are like, this dude, Papa is causing us anxiety because he would be like, well, and me and my brother already told my mom and dad, if someone dies, right, in the family, you can't call us and tell us. And we'll have to call one of us, but then let that other one tell the other sibling. Like me and my brother will tell each other because they do it. They go, got some bad news, Joe. And I'm like, well, what? You're not going to like it. I'm like, oh my God, spit it out. Like, this is the worst delivery ever, and then they'll be like, Blibbity Blue passed away. And half the time I'm like, who? Because it's like a second, third, fourth, fifth, cousin, God. 12th removed. But my dad would update. He goes, well, the doctor said, and I'm like, spit it out. What did he say? What are the test results? He's not sure, but that's not all. That was his transition sentence. Just kept, you go, okay, we're still waiting. Okay. But that's not all. And I was just like, Paul, like, Dad, you can't do this to me. Well, what else is there? Well, they're worried about, maybe something with something else. But that's not all. And we're just like, no more. No, God. You have to go to some kind of class on how to deliver medical news when you're terrified that it's your mom.
Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? Like, in fact, when my dad, so I had to call around, by the way, to multiple hospitals and be like, hi, is my mother there? And like, try to find her.
So this is by Fenway, right? Is my mom there?
Hi, is my mother there? You'll know because she'll be very loud. But like, so my dad goes and picks her from the hospital, and apparently he just keeps telling my mom, oh God, this is so stressful. I've been so stressed all day. like it's only him going through this and not the person that had the actual surgery.
Oh my God, it is such a dad thing. It's like our generational dad move to make it about him. And then he's so stressed about it, which just makes for just more comedy. So have your parents had a chance now to listen to your album? And
they have. That they liked it, and I was really nervous because there was a joke on there I got into hot water for over the summer because as you know, my parents moved away, but I was doing shows back home, and my parents are really weird. They're like kind of estranged from a lot of the rest of our family, and so I had family members at this show that I still talk to and love and all that. And there was like family friends of my mom or friends of my mom's that she like went to high school with like back in the day that came to the show. And so after like, because it's on the album, you'll hear it if you listen to it, but like my parents almost got divorced during the pandemic. And I mention it, and there's nothing bad on, like, literally the joke is just me saying like, hey, this happened, like they're fine now, blah, 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 in more detail, but you get it. Yep. And so I told this joke, and I knew it was going to be tough to do it while I was home because people were going to have a strong reaction to it. And I literally even said like, everyone's fine, just let me get through it, because the thing is like my parents were upset that I told that joke while I was home, but I was like, look, I'm running this album, like I can't just cut stuff and not work on it. Like I have to see how it flows throughout. Oh yeah, I didn't speak to my mom for like 2 months because she was so
She
mad.
was so mad.
Yeah,
So
she was really mad.
just even mentioning that, I think that's the hard part too about a comedy and being a comedian is that, you're going to talk about your experiences, but it might be of situations that's happened to your whole family. Cause I remember when early on, I was doing jokes about my mom's alcoholism, but from the perspective of being a child of a functioning alcoholic. And I had talked to my mom and she was fine with it, but my dad was not fine with it. So he was just like, he would come to shows, but he would pace in the back. Like, I can't believe you shared that about our family. And it's like, but mom, the one who's drunk, she said it's cool. It's totally cool. And everyone was liking, the material. But that's the hard thing is you might piss some people off with, your jokes.
Yeah. It's really
Family
hard. And
members.
you have to find like, there's a really great quote that I love that I tell people all the time because I teach stand up too. Like I teach at Westside Comedy Theater. And
Yay, West Side.
yeah, we love West Side. But there's something that I always tell to my students because a lot of them will ask me the same thing where they're like, I feel really weird talking about this, or I don't know if I can talk about this, and da da da. And I'm like, there's a great quote by Anne Lamott, who is an author and a writer, and she basically says, you own everything that's happened to you. Tell your stories. If people don't like the way you talk about them, they should have behaved better. And so
Ooh.
the thing is that like, don't be vindictive, don't be an asshole, but like
Yeah.
it's your experience too. And like, you find a way. In fact, okay, so there was another thing on the album that I was also very nervous about because, I have a track on the album called Bad at Being Bisexual. And surprise, I'm bi. And and
Yay.
so woo! And so I talk about it from like as an adult, but also to the fact that I actually was like fooling around hooking up with women before I ever even hooked up with men. And so I talk about it because a childhood friend of mine I refer to as Beth on the album, and I tell like a pretty personal story on the album. And I was really worried because I'm still friends with this person. And there's like a group of us that grew up together that we're still friends. And I was really nervous about it because I knew I was like, if she hears it, like, because we were like a little estranged for a little while and it was just kind of weird. Like, no, like there was nothing like, there was no malice. It was just kind of weird because we never really talked about it. We never really talked about the fact that we used to hook up and fool around. And it kind of was, it was a little odd. So when I did this, I was so nervous. And then the day the album came out, one of the first messages that I woke up to was that group and her being like, this was so like the album's so funny. I loved it. And like, our other friend messaged me separately and was like, I have to know who's Beth. And like right when she said that, and I was like, it's exactly who you think it is. And then Beth messaged me and was like, I have to ask, am I Beth? And it was very funny. And I was so nervous. I was like, yeah. And then it was like, they were so cool about it. And like, and she's like, it's so great. Like, I'm so proud of you. And like that, honestly, like that alone just meant so much. And like, she plugged the album for me and like all this. And it was like, it was very like therapeutic and healing. And like, it was really cool.
That is such a cool moment. And I think it's something too that that's why, there's different kinds of comedy and different kinds of comedians, and not everyone wants to, share as much personal. And some people are one-liner comics and some people just don't really talk about their real life or they are a character. But I feel like when you do comedy like you do, when we went on tour and stuff, you will get a lot of people. You don't know how many young women or young men you touch just by simply being honest and opening up about, your experiences and just, someone who is bi. And you just don't know. Because I remember when you and I did our 6 Ed tour and it was 2 women and we had so many young women come up to us like in Indiana and these states that we were in who were just like, I've never seen 2 women. Like when I've went with Andy Erickson too, we always get the same response. Like, I've never seen 2 powerful women together. It's always like maybe 1 chick and like 3 dudes or something. And so you just never know who you're touching. So there could be so many people, that sounds weird, but there'd be so many people in, the audience that you just sharing that story, and making it a joke. And like dear Dana's saying, just making it so, therapeutic for people.
Yeah.
Just talking about mental illness, talking about, sexuality, talking openly about just all kinds of things. You just never know who's going to be like, I feel heard. I feel seen because you can.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that I talked about it because I had been trying to find a way to talk about it for a long time, but I kind of just kept like pushing it away, trying to
Mhm.
figure out what kind of how I wanted to approach it. Because that's the other thing too, is like, you get better, at least hopefully, the longer you're doing stand up, as long as you continue to be vulnerable and like really put in the work, like you get better and
Mhm.
better and better, like not only just as a performer, but just a better writer. And, I couldn't have done that material when I first started because I just wasn't there yet
Yeah.
as a writer, and I didn't know how to personal material and personal stuff about my family that I won't talk about on stage, not because I'm ashamed of it, but because it's like it's not my story to tell. It's like it's involving like other family members that it's just like I mean, I know but like,
Yeah.
it's
I
like
know.
it's just stuff that is it's like I'm not going to do that because it's not going to help anything. You know what I mean? It's like if people are still too far into it that it's like I'm
Yeah.
sure I'll get to that point eventually, but like right now it's like I know enough to be like, nah, that's the thing that will really get me in trouble. Like,
Yeah, and I think you said something so important. It's like it's not my story, and there are some
Mhm.
stories that are just so something you just can't, you just can't, until
Yeah.
you get kind of consent from the parties you're going to speak on. That's kind of why I talked to my mom about the alcoholism jokes, because I did feel this sense of when I first started wanting to talk about it and my experience and stuff, I felt like a sense of betrayal against her. And
Mhm.
then when I told her
Mhm.
the joke, she was like, no, this shit's hilarious, like, so
Yeah.
it was great because it wasn't in a way to shame her or anything. It was just in the way that that was her experience and how I was affected by it. And we've, always been very open about that. But not everyone's going to be at a place where they're ready for you to talk about, certain things. So I think
Yeah.
that is very important, that you recognize that and you're not, because I think there's probably people out there that just do jokes like, I don't give a hell. Like, I don't give a fuck if somebody gets
Yeah.
offended or if I break up my family by this joke. But sometimes the joke isn't worth it. Because like you
It's
said, it's not
not.
gonna
And like
do
I
anything.
think I think a great example of finding a way to talk about it where it's really funny, but it is like material it's a painful experience that you have found a way to turn into something very funny. And if anybody's watched the new season of the stand-ups on Netflix, the first one is Brian Simpson's, and he has a lot of really great material about him growing up and his grandmother, and like just it's I don't want to spoil anything, but you should for sure watch it because it's really funny, and like it's not easy to talk about that stuff, like, and I always try to explain that to students too, where I'm like, I'm not trying to tell you what you can and can't talk about, but like just
Yep.
know that like you have to find the way to do it, and you have to get to a certain level where you can find a way to spin it where it's not just sad for the audience to hear either. Because if you can't find a way to make it funny for you, it's not going to be funny for anybody else.
Yeah. And sometimes you being your most vulnerable on stage, you will trigger some people to be like, "Aw." And you're like, no, no, I'm fine.
Mhm.
I'm here on a stage with the microphone with the light shining on me talking about it. I've either went to therapy or this is my therapy, which some comedians use. But I think, regular therapy is the way to go. Traditionally, I would say. But yeah, you might, but that's when you kind of got to look at the material. If that's happening more than laughs, you got to look and be like, okay, what am I doing here that's too raw, or I haven't found the joke. I haven't found the funny in it. I've just found the sadness, because you never want anyone to pity you while you're up there like that poor
Yeah, that because you
girl,
give away your power with that,
you do.
and like there was like I had a bit that was about me being a nerdy kid and like getting picked on. It was like a couple of things that happened to me when I was a kid that I thought were like, now looking back, I'm like, yes, it was traumatic, but it's also like funny, like hearing it. But then like I would get all that like, oh, and like all that all the time. And I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't tell this joke
I
anymore. I
hate
can't
that
handle it.
reaction. I hate that
Yeah.
reaction. But so were you able to find the funny in it, or did it kind of just, you're like, I'll revisit that? Because I've had jokes where I've been like, I'll revisit that later. I can't right now.
Yeah, that particular one I ended up kind of scrapping. And I do talk about being a nerd and getting picked on, but I kind of like got rid of that, like the chunk that kind of got that response. I was like, ugh, it's not worth it.
Because you still have the I swear, so I like that one.
Yeah. I actually forgot about that. There's certain jokes that I've like forgot about, and people were like, "Wait, this isn't on the album," and I'm like, I've literally forgot about that joke.
It's so funny that, other people like, I won't forget about your material. You'll forget about your material. I'll forget about my material, but you'll remember it. So it is weird what we'll forget, but that's one that stands out to me. And I remember just us being in the car together and you were working through that joke. And I still want you to sing a little bit of I swear with it, but that's just maybe me pushing my style onto you because I don't like sing it because it would make me laugh so hard. But you do have do you have the sharing the bedroom with your sister? And do you have that on there with the
I didn't put that on there, and it's because I forgot about it. Like, not
it's such a good bit too.
It is, but like there's a clip of it online. I think it's actually on my YouTube. There's a clip of it. It's called Nightmare Sibling. But it's like it's better now. Like, that's the funny thing too, is like seeing how jokes evolve, where like so like a while ago I did a partial recording in Boston, and the closer that I use, it's about my grandmother. It's on there. There's like 2 tracks on this compilation that I'm on, and one of them is that joke. And then I
like that joke.
I do too. And now it's on my album, but it's so much more polished now. Like the version that's on my album is so much better than what's on, that compilation, just because it just has better, it's more thought out. There's more tags. There's just, it's like polishing a stone.
They evolve. And like the more like you did a ton of touring to get ready for the album, and I'm sure you were able to find little gems here and there. You're like, oh, I can add this to that. So it's kind of like coming back from a show is normally we like audio record our sets. At least I do. I know you do. Yep. And then if we can get through listening to our own voices another time, you kind of see what worked, what didn't. Or in the moment, I've become someone who writes on stage. Like I literally can't sit in front of a computer and write out jokes anymore. I have to have an idea, take it to the stage, record it, and then try to work it out after that.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's just kind of how it's become. Terry's saying, do you guys have Mermaid merch?
Do we have merch? We had stickers and buttons. We still have some. We need to get more. We need to get more made, because we had a bunch when we were like going on tour and stuff, and then we kind of never replenished after that. But we need to get some more stuff.
We do, because we have cute designs, and Heather's the one that drew it, right?
Heather Hanford, she did all of our because we do posters only for the anniversary shows because it's really expensive to hire somebody to do it every time. But she's done like all of our anniversary posters, and they look great. So it's like it's like the same style, but they're all different, and they're really cool. So
we need more merch. We need like t-shirts and stuff. And who knows, Mermaid Comedy Hour. Right now we're monthly at the Hollywood Improv. It's the second Monday of every month at 9:30. So we'll be back.
9:30. It's 7:30.
7:30. We used to be 9:30. Oh my God. And it still pops up in my phone as 9:30.
Oh, weird.
Yes. Well, it's not weird. I just didn't change it. So it's not really weird. But yeah, so 7:30, apologies. And so we have it on Valentine's Day. Which technically is kind of my birthday too.
That's right. When is yours? Is it
February 17th?
Okay.
Yes. So it's Aquarius season, the age of Aquarius. So I was going to hit up just off the 6th and be like, I want to pay you to come take pictures of the birthday show, but I haven't hit him up yet. And I don't know, because I was like, maybe I'll lose weight by then, and maybe I'll want to, you know how it goes. And then
I know, and then you're like,
maybe I'll have a poke bowl instead.
It's funny. I might also order that for dinner. I was like, I really want a poke bowl for dinner.
Shell just brought home poke, and you probably saw me look over, and he like flashed the bowl to me, and I was like,
he's like, wrap it up.
I know, seriously. Well, Val, I know that I could talk to you for 2 hours, obviously, about all this fun stuff. But and I feel like we have to do this again. And I feel like we should figure out a way to make, we could talk offline, but Mermaid, her and I, Val and I we've pitched stuff together. We've, wrote a whole ass pilot together that we love, that hopefully one day you'll see on television.
I love that pilot so much. I was actually looking at Google Docs for it too. I was like going through my Google Docs, and I found like season 1 episode ideas and like all that stuff. And I was like, oh God, I love this so much.
It's so good, and it's it's such an empowering little hilarious show. And don't
Mhm.
worry, we're gonna sell it, and so put it into put good vibes for Mel and her surgery, good vibes for our pilot. And then we were gonna do our mermaid kind of tour thing. So who knows? We have
Yeah.
the world. I mean, the world is still COVID, but the world is our mermaid oyster, kind of. More, and
Yeah.
people are saying more.
I
Okay,
know.
more.
We should do this again. Our show's on Mondays. I feel like maybe we could do like the last Monday of the month, do like Mermaid, just keep it
Yeah.
as like Mermaid Monday. I know today's Tuesday, but you get it.
Yeah, that would be super fun. So let us know after this video post, put it in the comments if you want to see more mermaid stuff. Val and I talking about comedy, behind the scenes stuff. We can also have some of our friends on, or we can just talk about, I've been thinking like we should just talk about like mermaid shit. Stuff having to do with mermaid, but with a funny twist. Who knows? We're just thinking out loud. We're
Oh,
pitching. You know what I
we're
mean? Because there's like,
spitballing.
we're just spitballing, things like that. Oh, you're gonna try to drive down to the show? Yeah, I hope you do. So that's Monday,
Oh, yeah. Monday, February
February.
14th.
Yes, 7:30, not 9:30. It'll be all over
Correct.
my social media starting very soon. My birthday's 3 days
Oh, wait,
later.
there's ticket
So
link. We should put the ticket link in the chat. Let me see.
yeah,
Um,
feel free to drop that, you guys. But yeah, Mermaids Online. Yes. Coco Nicole. Yes, Coco Nicole came to my taping in Las Vegas. Coco, you got to come
oh, that's so
to the
fun. When
Hollywood
is that?
Improv
Did we
Show.
get a date yet? I wanna know when it's coming out.
They haven't. They were editing it and putting it all together, and I saw that. But you know how it is. It's like I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know. I don't know anything.
I don't know anything.
As soon
Oh,
as
man,
I
I haven't even
know.
sent a lineup to them yet. Whoops. Okay, I am behind.
So who do we have? We have a really good lineup for February 14th. And if you guys don't know, the Mermaid Comedy Hour is a woman run and all woman lineup as well. So it's all female
Female
comedians.
identifying, yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So we have, which is not on the website yet because I haven't sent it to them, but this is who we have. We have Heather Turman, who's everybody's super funny. It's Heather Turman, Bailey Norton, Christine Madrano, Nori Reed, Keitra Long, and Jill Kimmel.
Oh my God. Every one of those ladies is so freaking hilarious.
Yeah,
I
there's a
am
lot of
very,
people
very,
on there who have
very.
like, because it's funny because I always forget that like people don't know everybody that's in our circle because we're so entrenched in comedy. But like these are all
Mhm.
people that have been on like late night. They've been on Comedy Central. Like if you saw Moses Storm's new special that just came out on HBO Max, it's incredible. You should watch it. His opener was Keitra Long, and and I think she might be at
Keitra
the end.
did?
She opened
That's
for him.
amazing.
Yeah, in fact, I think that there's footage of it. I don't know if it's at the end of the special or like, but I saw her kind of posting about it. So, it looks
That's
really
so
neat.
cool. She's so
Yeah.
talented and she's so funny. Um, because we had her on not too long ago, but I haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah,
So
she's been kicking
that will
around.
be
Yeah. Because I guess her and Moses
fantastic.
came up together in, Florida, which I did not know. And
I didn't
so,
know that either.
yeah, they're both from they have really similar stories, and so, they're both really great about kind of, he's great about pulling up other people and like, yeah, he's a sweetie.
See, and that's what's so important about stand up and just bringing it back, call back to Adam Sandler. That's something similar to what he did is, he brought up all of his friends and all of the people he wanted to work with and gave them opportunity. And Rob Schneider wouldn't have a career like he does without, Adam Sandler, but Adam Sandler always kind of brought up his friends and wanted to work with them. And I think that's like the coolest
Yep. Me
when they
too.
do that. Yeah, Jill Kimmel. Yes, Renee, you're in Arizona. So of course you remember Jill. And back
Yep.
when she was Jill Bryan. Exactly. So here's our show, Mermaid Comedy Hour, and Monday, February 14th, 7:30. But Valerie will be back. I've decided I kept, my YouTube kind of separate from my comedy life. And I'm like, why am I doing that? I have so many funny friends and funny things. I don't understand what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Now it's open to all of the funny ladies, especially.
We're merging.
We're merging. So you guys don't forget to pick up Valerie's album, download it.
Yeah.
We'll drop the link to her website. Her album is Beach Trash. Of course, I just got rid of that. I just had her link up here. I want to share it one more time. And if you just go to ValerieTosi.com and let's just share it one more time so you guys remember how cute. I mean, these pictures, the Boston Globe and your label were so right. They're awesome.
Yeah, they're so fun.
Your album pictures. So yeah.
It's so great. I love it so much. It was so fun to shoot that. Like it was so fun. There's you can't even see everything because that picture was actually bigger, but there's like a massive carousel in the back that is blocked off because apparently they didn't want anybody riding it. And I was like, that's just so indicative of the town where like the one thing we have down here, you're not allowed to touch it.
Oh my God. Well, Atharella said, I'm going to see you in February. Oh my gosh. If you go to her show and you meet, you guys have to take a picture together and send it to me. I'll be so peanut butter and jelly. And I'm so excited about that. But you can get Valerie's album, Apple Music. You can go to Bandcamp, which is the label you're under Blonde.
Medicine.
So I got a cute, so they also have pins. They have Beach Trash pins. I got mine like the day after I ordered it, Val.
These are what they look like. They're so cute. And so wait, where's my camera? Okay.
Adorable. And they sent a Blonde Medicine one with it, a free pin.
They're great. They're so great. But the pins are really cool because we're actually donating a poor seed. A poor seed. We're donating a portion of the proceeds to the Ocean Conservancy, which cleans up beach trash. So
yeah. I love it. I told Val I'm lake trash, you're beach trash. So I feel heard and seen.
And we're both water signs, right? Isn't you're a water sign too, right? Or are you air?
I think I'm air. I think Aquarius is an air sign. I always thought it was water because it's like Aquarius.
But like aquarium.
Yeah, like that's what I thought. I thought it was like a Little Mermaid or something, like Ariel sign, but I guess not. I need to learn more about that stuff. But I am getting into crystals, and I might start putting them in my bra and or my underpants when I come to the show. So get ready for that, Val.
The words every man he fears most. I'm getting into crystals.
Seriously, I'm just like my amethyst stone. Like I had one. I found one, I should say, at the house I was staying with when I was at Laughing Skull. And it was Sue Larson's house. We love Sue Larson.
Oh, we love Sue Larson.
Oh, we love Sue Larson. She comes out to the shows and she brings us treats. And she had this big, beautiful amethyst thing, and I dropped it and a little piece came off. And then I just been carrying it around. And that night I had like my industry set and I had a really good set. And so I was like, this is luck. So I bring it with me when I'm like nervous and I like rub it. I don't know.
We love it.
We love it. All right. Yay. Oh, and Valerie does have a channel. Yes. So subscribe to Valerie's channel because she put out some great content during the pandemic too. You had a little
people bought it. I love this. This is so fun.
Talk show. So you got to come back because everyone is so supportive here. The Leen Team is fantastic. And put your mermaids in the chat for Val. You guys, thank you so much. And thanks, Valerie, for coming in and chatting with us. And now we can put like the face, the voice, everything together because otherwise I'm just like, I'm vlogging at our shows. And then I have little things.
Because I usually pop in and I'm like, don't pick me up this time. And then I like run away.
My favorite thing to do is pick Valerie up when she brings me on stage. I lift her up because I'm just so farm girl strong. And Val's like, don't pick me up, but she's very light. And so I just pick her up and then I feel, just
untrue, but I appreciate that.
Oh, you're so light. You're light as a feather, stiff as a board. Look at everyone putting the mermaids in the chat. All right, you guys, don't forget to comment after. If you buy Valerie's album, definitely let us know on social media. Tag both of us. You can find Val at Valerie Tosi, right? Everywhere.
It's at Valerie_Tosi.
You haven't got that Valerie Tosi to get rid of her.
Some bitch has it. And I'm like, but I'm verified now, so just look for that sweet check mark, baby.
I can't. That's so cool. That's amazing. Now, was there one thing that they were like, okay, finally, we're gonna verify?
Yeah, the one thing was my friend that works at Twitter. I literally, I mean, no, I'm famous. No, because I had applied so many times and I kept getting denied, but I was fulfilling all of the things, like all the requirements that they asked for. And I was like, why does this keep getting denied? This doesn't make any sense. And so I hit her up and was like, I know this is really silly and like nobody cares about this shit, but it does help us get booked places.
Makes a difference.
It really does. It's so dumb. People treat you so differently. The amount of like bigger accounts that have been following me ever since I got that stupid check mark, it's so dumb. Like,
no, it's true. And your
National Lampoon started following me today, and I was like, what? Like, just like weird.
God, Chevy Chase. No, that's exciting. But even your comment, like when you leave a comment, it pops to the top then of like the thread. So if you're like verified on Instagram, you're one of the first comments. Same thing on Twitter. So
yeah, I'm not on Instagram yet, but that's my next move.
All right, I got to get on that because I'm super good with the Twitter. I'm just like retweeting nice things about me. I think that's what it's for. I don't know. Apparently you guys write jokes. I just retweet nice things about me. All right. So you guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Valerie. Come see us February 14th and we'll be back soon for another lovely Mermaid Comedy Hour. We appreciate all you guys. Go buy Valerie's album Beach Trash.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging, you guys.
Yeah, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.